All right. Hey YouTube, this is Ray here from NCCD, American Survivalists. I've been procrastinating this way too long, so I figured I'd finally show my Bob. I just started transferring out of a London Bridge trading bag that I got used for about 40 bucks. It's wonderful, but I'm way too tall and lean for it. I'm not built to carry rucks like that, so I had to transfer to an internal frame pack. The bag itself is a Cabela Shasta, the original. So if you go on Cabela's.com right now or find one, you're going to get a very different bag. This is the first generation, and I think they're on their third generation Shasta right now. And I think the first generation is, in my opinion, the best, primarily because it holds the most, but it also compacts well if you choose not to carry it full. And it has the detachable hydration pack on the outside of it, which I'll get onto later. A few quick words on the concept of the bug out bag. For me, the bug out bag is one of two things. It's either designed to get you out of the area of a disaster or to get you out of the area of a disaster into a specific location. That can be 72 hours away or it can be weeks away depending on how you're going to get there and what you're going to do in between. So a 72-hour bag is not necessarily a bug out bag and vice versa. So there's just to clear up some confusion on that. From what I know, this is designed for probably upwards of about 10 to 14 days, because if I can't get to my bug out location by vehicle, I'm going to have to hoof it for a long time. So the emphasis is on food gathering capabilities and all-weather survivability. It's a little heavy, weighs in at about 36 pounds. I weigh about 150, so that's right around the safe carry weight. You can safely carry about 33% of your body weight or so. Before you start risk herniation and a few other things. And yes, Marine Force Recon carries way more, but they are not me, so we'll get into that. Up top, I'm going to try not to do what I hate in bug out bag videos, and that's have a seizure while holding the camera trying to get to things. But the top is usually where maps and such are stowed. I did remove my maps for demographic purposes, privacy. That is a inflatable water bottle that goes for my Sawyer microfilter. It comes in green, $25 at Cabela's, which I absolutely loved. Write in the Rain notebook. This contains directions to my bug out location as well as a few other things. And my last will and testament, should something undesirable happen to me while I'm with my group. And the purge plunger and a straw for the very water filter there. Simply assist in cleaning and drinking from it. I also this bag does not include a few things. I do have a personal survival kit as well as some first line gear that I store under my bed so I can grab it there. So my compasses and such, I'm an orienteering compass fan, are not in there. They'll be kept on my person instead. Flipping this up, I can bring this down. In the hydration pack, I keep a few long-term food items. 7 heavy-duty locking cable snares. Not for your weekend warriors. These are real ones from a trapping convention. They do lock, and I believe they are illegal in some states, not mine, however. So I do practice with them when I can get my license. And they'll take anything from small hogs by the leg to foxes to large rabbits and everything in between. Wonderful pieces. And again, long-term food gathering, a slingshot. There's no shortage of small furry critters on the East Coast, so it's very important you be able to harvest them efficiently, since that does not require any definitive ammunition. I do carry ammunition for it, but knowing that I can just find any suitable size rock and plink a couple of squirrels would be helpful to me. A dry bag. The bottom of this bag, right to about here, is separate, but you can unzip an internal zipper to make it all one large compartment or a small and a larger, a 66-33 portion. So in here I keep my clothing. In here is just a pair of long johns and a long sleeve shirt. I do intend to fill it out because now it's late October, so it's going to start getting cold around here. A remake of a GI poncho. My actual GI poncho is again in my personal survival kit. But that is used, you can make a natural sleeping bag out of that, as well as a few other things. And it effectively covers my bag, which does have a rain cover. I just don't think it's very effective. They're called skivvy rolls. it is a pair of underwear and a shirt rolled up into a pair of socks, actually. Very interesting. I might do a video on how to make that. You can Google how to make a skivvy roll, though. There's some very good informative videos. It takes about a minute to learn. So 2 changes of clothes. In my main shelter, a Sportsman space blanket. 12-foot paracord lengths attached to all 4 corner grommets. It is OD tarp for covertness or clandestine reasons on the outside, and reflective emergency blanket, the Mylar material you typically see on the inside. So useful for signaling or concealment. Essentially a reusable Mylar blanket, very, very useful. That's empty. Okay, onto this side. One of the 2 accessory pouches, I believe this is this is the empty one. Because on the side here, you'll see I emptied out most of it, again, to avoid having a seizure on camera. You know, doing cart rolls, trying to open the bag. So, in here I have hand warmers and an emergency blanket. I believe, no, just hand warmer. Yes, emergency blankets in there also. Again, because it's getting cold now, so it's for first aid, hypothermia, but also supplementing shelter. Fire making kit, which I'll get on. Because the bag itself has lots of organization, but still some very large pockets, I do use pencil cases and such to organize. They're cheap, affordable, and they last a long while. Small utilities pouch, super glue, earplugs, batteries, and duct tape. If you remove the cardboard from the inside of a duct tape roll and smush it down, you get a lot more cardboard than if you just wrap it around a credit card. That's my tip to you guys. Much more compact. And here is the fire making. It is 2 wet fire, spare match strikers you can buy online, Amazon I believe. Coughlin's generic matches. This was used to carry candy, I think, but it's full of about a dozen, maybe 15, 16 jumbo cotton balls. You break them in half. They will take a spark or a match. Not soaked in petroleum jelly, simply because that gets messy. They both work, though, if you want to use petroleum jelly, by all means. Long burn matches by UCO. They're probably the best match company out there. I also have their store matches elsewhere, but UCO long burns. Very large kitchen matches. Catchwell. There's probably about 100 of them in there. It says right on the package, Magbar, a Bic lighter, tinder, and match strikers. Wrapped in electrical tape in an Altoids tin. So this will double as my tinder container when I'm done with it. Also electrical tape. It's a sealant for waterproofness, but also electrical tape. The glue and the rubberized treatment on it both burn very well as an emergency tinder or kindling. Strikeforce fire starter has, this is the right side. Tinder compartment inside it, produces massive sparks. Unlike most people who are absolute blast match fanboys, I like the Striker normal one, which you can use one-handed, contrary to popular belief. And another waterproof case for tinder. Let me see if I can get that open again without shaking the camera like a madman. Okay. Wet fire, UCO, the stormproof matches I mentioned, a one-handed striker, again, in case your hand is injured and you don't want to fumble with that thing. Even though, again, you can use it one-handed. So I'll leave that off to the side. That clears up this section, as well as the internals of the bag. Inside, it actually has a dual closure flap on it, so it compacts very, very well, and it's very, very weather resistant. And the inside has, you can't see that very well, a hydration pocket, which is where my hand is right now, and then where my thumb is, that's the main compartment. You can put a hydration bladder in there. For bugging out, I don't think they're very practical. They tend to freeze and have all sorts of malfunctions in the wild, and they're very difficult to fill and clean, so I prefer water bottles. So what I do is the heaviest object should typically go between your shoulder blades, extending down your lower back, especially if you're a taller guy like me. So I usually put my heaviest stuff in there. So unpacking part of the main compartment, you'll see all this. I do need to get more clothing. I got my little list behind me of what I do need to include. But here's my mess kit. Yeah, well, there's some of that junk on there. Great. Whatever. Contains a cook kit on it. That's technically a frying pan. This is aluminum, by the way. So as long as I'm not cooking tomatoes, I'll be fine. Chemical treatment. This is not chlorine dioxide. It is an indicator plus an acid. I don't remember the exact chemical makeup of it. Just a two-stage system. If I find some particularly stagnant water, I can treat that before I filter it. Otherwise, I'll probably just use the filter. More matches, and a can opener, your P38 standard issue. Many people forget can openers, I find. IDF, that is Israeli Army water purification tablets, includes directions for what to use. They were just the cheapest on Amazon. And like them or not, the IDF are some tough guys to kill, so their equipment's very well made. So, no political statements there, just a thought. Bumblebee tuna, 3 packages. Probably for the immense amount of protein, that is what you need to repair muscle, especially at the end of the day, as long as you're well hydrated. Some hippie, do-it-all health serum, whatever my friend gave me. Actually, surprisingly good. It is a shampoo, it is a conditioner, and it is antibacterial, so you can use it for a toothpaste, as long as you don't swallow it. I'm not a fan of that kind of stuff, but it really works, so who am I to argue? And a large cooking pot. Most people just put up a little sissy frying pan and a little cup, canteen cup. That's not enough to cook wild game, I don't think, so I prefer to get a real large cooking pot. You'll see I have cooked on it. Very effective. Again, because it's aluminum, you can't use tomatoes for the acid-base reactions. Going back to food, again, it's a very long-term food supply, simply because many people underrate food. They say, you don't need it for 3 weeks. First, that's not really true, because in a stressful survival scenario, you're going to need a lot more energy than you give yourself credit for. And quite simply, it's also a morale booster. It helps keep you warm, especially if you're low on calories. You'll have a hard time staying warmer. And, you're going to have a harder time than you think you will. So it's important to have food. These are technically 3 days. I could probably break those up to make them last 8 to 9 days, minimally. Because after about 3 or 4 days without food, you will be so lethargic you won't be able to get food on your own. That's a very strong consideration. You may not be dead, but you will be very lethargic, and that's not good in a survival scenario, because then you can't go out and get any more food. In here, a long array of freeze-dried meals, as well as a few instant cook rices. Simply drop that in the boiling water. This is actually about 500 calories in one package. This is a whole meal. You just tear it, drop it in the boiling water, and let it cook for about 2-3 minutes. Then soup packages, mostly Wise Foods, as well as a few other things. So that's enough. With the mainstays, that'll last me a week, minimally, and that will last me almost another week, not to mention what else I can catch myself. And 3 pounds of beef jerky, for Cabela's at $8. I know, Cabela's had a good deal, go figure. Fantastic, expires soon, but let me tell you, this is about 3,000 calories. That is kilocalories, so that's about enough for me for 2 days straight, the weight on a normal day for full meals. So that's quite a bit. And who doesn't love beef jerky, besides those PETA guys? Edible plants of the eastern woodlands. That's general. That's where my bug out location is. And you have to be able to do everything. If you are not foraging, trapping, hunting, fishing, you're doing one thing, and that's starving. So you have to be able to go all 4 collection methods for food. Fishing, trapping, hunting, foraging. Have to do all 4 if you want to be able to eat. Edible plants of the eastern woodlands. And that's mostly because we don't live in the land of plenty our ancestors did. It's hard enough to find one good buck a year. It's hard enough to find one good bass at a lake sometimes. So just imagine what it'll be like when everybody's doing the same thing. Very, very hard times. Spider wire fishing line. It is braided, not monofilament. Monofilament has memory and is capable of cutting itself. Braided does not. So I'd say it's overall probably better. It's also camouflaged. Most fish are colorblind. It's not vastly important, but it helps. Salt and pepper in a little Boy Scout bag I got back when I was in scouting. Great place, by the way, for your kids, for those of you that are older. Eating set, large spoon, point and fork, and butter knife, which won't scratch your plate like a real knife might, with hardened steel. Probably one of the most useful items of my bag. A pocket cooker on BePreparedToSurvive.com, John D. McCann's website. He sells it for about $12. It's a remake of an Israeli field stove. Burns anything. You can put in an alcohol stove under it. Esbit tablets, actual wood, and I mean real wood, not little tiny twigs. You can put in whole pine cones, sticks about thicker than your thumb. Lots. It takes a lot of really any biofuel. It's a manly stove that'll burn anything. Very, very impressive. And it will take probably pots large enough to feed 3 people. So group cooking, no. Small group cooking, yes. This is gill line. If you catch a lot of fish, hopefully I will, you string this through their gills so you can dry them or let them drip out. Slingshot ammunition. I think it's 3-gram lead weights. You could also use fishing split shot for this. That's probably what I'll replace these with because this is heavy. And it will be a multi-use item, but strong. Again, small stones work. You don't need to include that. Fishing, the military version, which is a 2-part speed hook system. So effective, it's illegal in 2 states, which to me basically just translates to it works really well. It's like a mouse trap for fish. You can catch anything, probably up to a muskie for this, a small muskie. Panfish, no problem. Bass, no problem. Trout, no problem. Huge amount, again, going back to the electrical tape for waterproofing. Huge amount of uses for tinder, waterproofing. It's tinder and hooks in here, not tinder, bait and hooks in here. Lots upon lots, because if you're fighting, you imagine how much tackle you lose in a season. You're going to lose that a lot faster fishing every day for your life. 2 fishing yo-yos. I got a pack of 3. 1 broke, 2 were perfect, so I can't complain. And another small commercial survival fishing kit, whatever, as a spare that I can slip in my pocket. Yeah, all in a Coghlan's organizer bag, which is nice. Because I am an EMT, I do have my trifold medical bag. I will go through this briefly, but understand that I have a devoted medical bag in the trunk of my car that is so much more comprehensive than this. It's a whole BLS, also some small ALS equipment on it, so this is just an injury bag. In here's dental medic and a few medications that I would take personally. Dressings, both occlusive. If you're planning on meeting people with guns, which would happen very much in a SHTF scenario, you need occlusive dressings. So don't kid yourself on that, because people may be shot. Trauma dressings, these are the large hospital grade ones. You can buy these on Amazon. I think it's $5 for $8. It's a great deal, by the way, because in a hospital they'll charge you $50 for them. If you ever have a stay there, hopefully not. Gloves and surgical masks. I removed the eye barrier from them simply for compactness. I do have an eye shield in my larger bag. Again, smaller badges. It's basically large trauma, medium trauma, small trauma. Petroleum jelly for protecting cuts. One lesson that was learned by soldiers in Vietnam when elephant grass cut them was you could turn gangrene from a paper cut. So very similar scenario if you're in a humid environment, so the petroleum jelly is important. Wound irrigation and a few other things, not to go too nuts. 2 quick things I keep in the map compartment in case of immediate cuts. A gauze pad and a non-adherent pad. The non-adherents are so much better because they do not stick to cuts. Something many people don't think about. Emergency blanket and more hand warmers. That actually goes in the trifold medical bag. I removed it. Spare cordage. This is not paracord, I know, but it is synthetic, so it melts. It stays easily. And a little rope keeper that if I want to braid it differently, I can keep it secured. One of 2 water bottles. The only reason I got this Bear Grylls one was because it holds a liter, not a quart, so it's a little bit larger. It does have I don't know if you can see that. It's got the cup in there. The cup is also, because the water bottle is larger, the cup is proportionately larger. It's also aluminum, but the paint does not drip off, actually. The orange paint has stayed on through several fires. I'm very impressed by it. The military ones are just fine. I'm not, military surplus works. The only thing I hate is this belt loop, which stinks. I also have a 1-liter water bottle elsewhere. The ABS plastic kind. Emergency light. It is a flashlight, glow stick combination. Just glow stick, strobing glow stick, and whistle. I do have a signal mirror and a Fox 40 Micro on my PSK, so that's not my only signaling device. Generic Rayovac headlamp. I think it's Rayovac, yeah. 2 settings, high, low, off. Works well. A tactical flashlight, very, very bright. That's about 100 lumens, and it strobes. Also very nice. A Gerber Epic, which is my, quote, survival knife for the time being. It's a good camp knife, overall. but I'm much more impressed by my Cold Steel Pocket Bushman. $20, just like a fixed blade. Very, very thick, very tough knife. I just realized I can't do a one-hand close with it, so I'm going to have to leave that there. Glow stick, bright yellow. It's not one of the ultra intense 30-minute ones. It's a 12-hour for emergency lighting. First aid by the campfire. And this is a very interesting device by Gerber. Their Bear Grylls Survival series, some of it's hit, some of it's missed. This is a hit. It is a tinder maker, a magnifying lens, a mirror, and essentially it's what, most of you guys would recognize as a wood rasp, but it collects the shavings in this little rubberized case and maintains them in there. Fantastic piece. You can make, and the tinder from the factory will catch a spark. So if you use soft wood and scrape it down a stick, it will come out fuzzy enough to take a spark, which to me is fantastic. So I don't have to waste my good blade at a 90-degree angle getting sparkable tinder. So that'll about set it up for now, guys. By all means, comment what I should and should not add. I got my little list right here I'm looking at. The only thing that I did not include was my rain suit from Frog Togs and my 1-liter water bottle, so I am carrying at least 2 liters of water, which is very, very important. I'm about 6'1", 150 pounds, tall and lanky, so if that helps, that's why I chose the internal frame bag. I do need a survival rifle. I do have a 30-06, just not very effective. I'm looking at an AR-7 or a Chiappa double badger, maybe. Can't get a handgun right now. Don't want to. I don't intend to skirt around the law just for prepping. So send me, guys. Let me know what you guys think I should have, what I should have, what I should get rid of. I'm open-minded. So have a good day, guys, and I hope you learn a few things.